Did you know that the ancient history of the UAE stretches back over 130,000 years? Hello and welcome to World History Encyclopedia. My name is Kelly and today's video is all about the long history of the region of the United Arab Emirates. But first, we want to thank our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Ansiv Brewing, a brewing company dedicated to creating exciting beers that draw inspiration from ancient civilizations. Visit ansiv.beer to learn more about them or check out the link in the description below. The country now known as the United Arab Emirates, UAE, was established on December 2nd, 1971, but the region has a long history stretching back thousands of years. The UAE is located at the eastern tip of the Arabian Peninsula on the Arabian Gulf, also known as the Persian Gulf, making the region especially attractive for ports of trade in the ancient past, when the Sumerians of Mesopotamia referred to the region as Magan, one of their most vital partners in long-distance commerce. The island of Dilmun, modern Bahrain, is referenced in Sumerian records in the Uruk period, between circa 4100 and 2900 BCE, and Magan, modern-day Oman and the UAE, Mleiha, the Indus Valley civilization, and Elam, modern-day Iran, during the early dynastic period between 2900 and 2334 BCE, the Akkadian period between 2334 and 2218 BCE, and the Ur-3 period spanning 2047 and 1750 BCE of Mesopotamian history, with Magan appearing in records later on. These periods correspond to those of the region that eventually became the UAE. The 7 emirates that make up the UAE are Abu Dhabi, Ajman, Dubai, Fujairah, Ras Al Khaimah, Sharjah, and Al Quwain. 6 of the 7 formed the union on the 2nd of December 1971, with Ras Al Khaimah joining shortly afterwards on the 10th of January 1972. This was the beginning of the UAE in the modern era, but as you will see, the region's history is a good bit older, and in fact, human habitation of the area predates recorded history. The region flourished from ancient times to the present through trade. The pearling industry in the region, harvesting pearls from wild sea creatures, dates back 7,000 years, and pearls from modern-day Ras Al Khaimah have been uncovered at archaeological sites from India to Rome. The pearling industry boomed in the 19th and early 20th centuries, until its decline due to the development of the cultured pearl process in Japan in the 1920s, and the region suffered economic hardship until the discovery of oil off Abu Dhabi in 1958. Today, the UAE is among the wealthiest nations in the world, trading in oil, diamonds, gold, and other precious metals, famously through the Dubai Gold Suq or market, and also prospering financially through tourism. Whether one looks at the ancient or modern region of the UAE, trade has always been at the center of its history. The archaeological sites of Jebel Faya and Mleiha in the Emirate of Sharjah have provided evidence of human activity dating back 130,000 years in the form of tools, including axes and scrapers. No human remains have been found at Jebel Faya, which only began to be excavated in 2003, but based on the production methods of these tools and comparisons with similar finds elsewhere, archaeologists have concluded they were made by anatomically modern humans. Other evidence found at the site shows that following the last glacial maximum, when people seem to have moved into the interior, humans returned to occupy the region through the Neolithic period. The Hafit period from 3200 to 2600 BCE corresponds roughly to Mesopotamia's Uruk and early dynastic periods, and is so called for the tombs discovered in the 1950s at Jebel Hafit on the border of Abu Dhabi and Oman. Excavation of the tombs in 1959 provided evidence of established trade with Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley civilization, corroborating the Sumerian records that reference Magan and Mleiha. This is essentially the ancient culture one would experience in visiting the Hilli Archaeological Park in Abu Dhabi, although this rich historic site also extends to later periods, and notably that of Al Nar. The Al Nar period between circa 2600 and 2000 BCE corresponds to the Mesopotamian early dynastic and Akkadian periods. The designation Al Nar is modern and comes from the name of the island off the coast of Abu Dhabi, where excavations in the 1950s unearthed an ancient settlement and tombs dated to circa 2600 to 2000 BCE. During this period, Magan is referenced most often in Mesopotamian inscriptions. The people of Magan had no writing system, and trade was conducted between them and those of other regions through seals, like cylinder seals, impression stamps pressed into or rolled onto clay that served as one's personal identification. These seals have been found at Al Nar, but they don't tell us anything about the people or the culture. All information on ancient Magan comes from Sumerian and Akkadian records. The island of Al Nar was a vital port centre moving goods from Magan and the interior of the Arabian Peninsula to Mesopotamia, Elam, and Mleiha on large ships. Sumerian records from this period reference the lords of Magan as trade partners, but nothing specific about who these people were. It could be, however, that they were referenced with such great respect because of the size of their ships. A Sumerian text mentions a Magan ship arriving with 12 tons of copper, suggesting vessels of considerable size and breadth, since there were also other goods on board. These ships were made of reeds and wood caulked with bitumen. Goods travelled from the mainland to Al Nar, where they were loaded on these vessels, which would then cross the Arabian Gulf and hug the coastline in navigation until they reached their destination. Sargon of Akkad, who reigned from 2334 to 2279 BCE, boasted in his inscriptions that his trade network was so lucrative that ships of Magan, Mleiha, and Dilmun regularly docked in his harbour. Sargon claims to have conquered Magan, and this claim is echoed by his grandson Naram-Sin, reigning 2261 to 2224 BCE, who is said to have captured, then honoured and released the king of Magan, received considerable booty, and initiated mining operations in the region. Goods that came from Magan to Mesopotamia during the Akkadian period included barley, copper, diorite, sesame oil, steatite, and textiles, among others, including pearls, the most lucrative ancient trade goods that sustained the region up through the modern era. The Wadi Suq period between 2000 and 1300 BCE, so called from the riverbed Wadi in Oman, shows evidence of a decline in trade with Mesopotamia, which would correspond to that region's Gutian period, 2218 to 2047 BCE. The Gutians are said to have toppled the Akkadian Empire and stopped all trade. Magan continued to trade with Dilmun and Mleiha, however, and evidence of continued trade with Mesopotamia comes from artifacts associated with the Sumerian king Gudea of Lagash, who reigned circa 2144 to 2124 BCE, who used diorite and steatite from Magan as building materials and for statuary. Perhaps because of the fall of Akkad, the people of Magan were freed to develop their own culture further, as evidenced by more elaborate tombs, increased production of metal weapons and tools, more sophisticated ceramics, and a significant shift in residential and commercial communities from the coast to the interior. Although maritime trade continued, the people of the Wadi Suq period established more agrarian sites inland, cultivating crops like dates and wheat, and also domesticating more animals, including the camel. This period also corresponds to the Sumerian Ur-3 period, during which the king Ur-Nammu, who reigned from 2047 to 2030 BCE, references Magan in the prologue to his famous law code, showing that the region was still highly regarded by the Sumerians at this time. By the end of the Ur-3 period in 1750 BCE, Mleiha no longer appears in Mesopotamian records, and references to Magan are infrequent, suggesting another decline in trade, which corresponds to a wider development of agricultural communities in the interior, as well as an even greater number of domesticated animals and an increase in the practice of metallurgy, bringing Magan fully into the Iron Age, circa 1200 to 300 BCE. The sites of Ed-Dur in Al and Mleiha in Sharjah continue the story of trade in the region, as Ed-Dur on the coast had close ties with Mleiha in the interior. Tombs excavated at Ed-Dur contain ceramics, jewellery, weapons, and other grave goods dated from the Paleolithic era up through the Greco-Roman period. The coastal port shows a clear connection to Mesopotamia, not only through artifacts found at the site, but through the temple to the Sumerian Akkadian sun god Shamash, which was discovered in 1987. Mleiha was a commercial and cultural centre which minted coins in the Greco-Roman period featuring Heracles and Zeus, and a significant quantity of these coins have been found at Ed-Dur. The link between the two sites provides clear evidence of the development of trade between the interior and the coast, and elsewhere into the Common Era. Today, the UAE has 90 archaeological, historical and heritage sites, as well as monuments and parks honouring the ancient past of the region and preserving sites in all 7 of the Emirates for future generations. Have you visited the UAE and any of the archaeological heritage sites? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our new videos published every single week. This video was brought to you by World History Encyclopedia. For more great articles and interactive content, head to our website via the link below. If you like my sweater, you can find this design and a bunch more in our shop at worldhistory.store, or you can find a link for it down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you soon with another video.